Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update. If you are finding yourself on this channel for the first time today, don't forget to check out that subscribe button because we drop an update just like this one every single day at 1 p.m. UK time to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening in the cryptocurrency space, but also the broader markets, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. Yesterday, the head of ETFs over at BlackRock came out and did an interview with Yahoo Finance, and she said some very interesting things, and that's where we're going to be starting the video off. Then we are going to be looking at some comments made by the SEC in regards to an Ethereum and altcoin spot ETFs. Then we're going to be diving into the charts. We're going to be looking at the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory that we did a longer video on yesterday to put the Fibonacci retracement tool on in regards to cycles from the top of the cycle to the low. And then we're going to show you that that 618 level is always quite a sticky period of rest, of a pullback. And the exact same thing is setting up today, ladies and gentlemen, which does kind of perhaps give a degree of probability to the 4-year cycle theory continuing to play out. It's played out to date, despite all the macroeconomic stuff. We'll be looking at that, and that 618 level coincides perfectly with a neckline for our inverse head and shoulders. Now, we have been coming out day in, day out, despite this pullback and telling people not to panic. This is part of a broader uptrend, and if the pullback was unexpected, if something happens in the markets that you don't expect, that's when you should worry and readjust. If you expect something to happen, and you actually almost want it to happen, like we've been saying, this pullback for the right shoulder. Of course, altcoins get thrown around. Bitcoin's still the tide that rises and sinks all ships. There really is no reason to panic because you understand the broader trend and the macro context of things, which is what we try and keep you up to date with day in, day out on this channel. And we're also going to be looking at some macro stuff, looking at some of the economic data coming out today, and also the dollar and what's that doing. So a hell of a lot to get into, as always. Let's start things off with a clip from the head of ETFs over at BlackRock and look at what she has to say on everything.
I mean, I will say by every measure, this launch has gone incredibly well. We've really seen a groundswell of interest coming from many directions. When you look at volumes, when you look at flows, when you look at how the product itself is trading, the iShares Bitcoin Trust, what we like to refer to as IBIT, has traded more than $3.5 billion since its launch just a little over a week ago. We've brought in more than 1.6 billion in flows. We're the #1 issuer, new issuer, both in terms of volume as well as flows. When you look at the spreads, we're trading at a penny wide. This is exactly what you want to see. What we're here for is to provide investors access, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Very interesting. And I think to understand this kind of gives a bit of clarity on the situation. Yes, there was a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Yes, we ran into resistance and we expected it to act exactly as that. But there's a broader paradigm shift that's been put in place with the approval of a Bitcoin spot ETF that would ultimately lead to similar price action that we saw for gold back in 2004 in the US when it had its first ETF, and the SPY when it became an ETF back in 1994. And to understand that, I think, is important. Let's now move on to her talking about what's next for BlackRock in regards to other ETFs.
Well, it's really interesting, and thank you for the question. It's a great question because, this is really what innovation is all about. We are constantly thinking about what it is that our clients need, staying ahead of those needs. And so we're going to continue to do that. We've been at the leading edge of innovation, and we will continue to be as well. It doesn't follow a straight path. It involves risk, but that's what we're here for, and that's what we love.
Exceptionally interesting comments. BlackRock are all about innovation. Apparently, I think they're all about basically control, but that's for another video. In fact, we're going to be releasing a video where I'll be doing another walk and talk of me talking about BlackRock and their involvement in the cryptocurrency space and how actually they could manipulate it via their involvement, just like they do with the stock market. They could perhaps even fork Bitcoin in the future or potentially put forward a Bitcoin improvement proposal that could see the supply of Bitcoin actually increase, which sounds crazy. All the Bitcoin maxis have told you this could never happen. Well, it could. And we're going to be talking about that later on today. So let's now move on to some comments from the SEC in regards to an Ethereum ETF. The SEC will apply precedent when making decisions on a spot Ethereum ETF. This is from Pierce, who is, of course, Hester Pierce. The SEC Commissioner, Hester Pierce, noted that the agency does not plan to face another court case to approve such products. Now, there is the whole ETHgate thing, which is interesting, which essentially revolves around Hinman who was a former SEC. He wasn't the chair. It was Jay Clayton at the time when Hinman was serving at the SEC. He essentially has came out and said Ethereum's not a security. It's passed the decentralization test. And if you apply that test to Ethereum, you can apply that to a broad stroke of other cryptocurrencies. And there's still a bit of uncertainty around that. So that's the whole ETHgate thing. But this was interesting because it's essentially saying, and it's my belief you're going to get ETFs of not just Ethereum. We've already got the filings from BlackRock for Ethereum, but a basket of altcoins, just like you see with Grayscale's products, just like you see with 21 shares, so on and so forth. And they're going to manipulate the market as a result of that and ultimately influence it, just like they do with the stock market. We need to just be applying regular consideration to these products, the same kind of consideration that we apply to similar products. And so we shouldn't need to go to court to tell us that our approach is arbitrary and capricious in order for us to get it right, she said. So that's obviously in reference to the Grayscale lawsuit and, of course, what happened with Ripple. Let's now dive over to a little bit of Bitcoin price action. And again, guys, everything is A-OK. Everything is fine in our opinion, and we are in a broader uptrend. I think people way over it. There's a real level of immaturity in the crypto space, not just from a participant's point of view, and this isn't meant to offend, but also from a content creator point of view. It is embarrassing, the content that is put out there in regards to the cryptocurrency space, and certainly involved around the price. And this is unfortunately how the game goes. But if we look at the Bitcoin price chart, this is following the exact roadmap that we set out for it. Not only were we spot on last year, we think we're going to be spot on this year, and we were expecting 27K, 28K to act exactly as we thought it would do, which is resistance. It all created around the Bitcoin spot ETF. There's always a fundamental narrative for price action, but it's always technically signaled. If you understand the charts, you'll understand what the insiders are doing. And of course, since then, we are now forming this right shoulder. And we're getting a bit of an uptick today. There's been not only intrinsic things with crypto that's been the news flow, there's also been macroeconomic news. You've had yields going up in the United States, which is a kind of fair trade, if you will. You've had the dollar going up, and we've spoken about the significance of the dollar and what we need to see taking place. So we were expecting this to act as resistance. If we look at the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory, the interesting thing is we're actually running into the 618 level, just like we've always done previously. So if I show you this very quickly, from the top of the cycle to the bottom, you draw your retracement tool, you can see the resistance that we had for Bitcoin as our neckline was also the 618 level. If we look historically at the last cycle, this also came into effect. 618, pullback going into the halvening. And if we look at the prior, guess what? We see the exact same thing. Fibonacci levels, and we are looking to teach our Patreons everything in regards to technical analysis. You know, it's part of what I do. It's part of how I make my living, and we will share that knowledge with you guys. But you can see 618 level again coming into resistance. And this is very typical. The prior cycle, not so much. You know, you can't see really the 618 reaction. It really reacted on the 0.5 level, the 50% mark. So very interesting that the prior 3 cycles, the 618 has acted in the exact same manner that it is. Are we going to follow the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory? Do check out my video later on. Or sorry, yesterday when we actually speak about it in more detail. Ultimately, guys, the plan is still in play. Okay, we're still waiting for this right shoulder. We've not been invalidated. We've not even been invalidated on altcoins in a similar structure to what took place for BTC down here. So understand the broader context of things, understand the broader trend as an investor. As an investor, you don't need to look at the daily or the hourly timeframes. What are you doing? You need to understand the trend and be on the right side of it. Just like in 2022, we were out the market. Just like in 2023, we were back into the market, and we're still in it today because the ultimate trend is still in place. Don't let these noobs on the other channels sway you and convince you that you need to be a small time frame trader or investor. It's not how investing works. Okay, if you want to be a trader, go and pursue that. But let me tell you, it's not an easy thing. These people selling you signals and dreams of grandeur, ask for their P&Ls. I share my P&L. I share my investments with my Patreons. We are 100% transparent, and we believe the best way to build a house is on a solid foundation, a truthful one. Okay? Ran over, but a lot of interesting things happening. Remember, the macro context had been a strong dollar that kind of lent on everything. The dollar coming down a little bit today. Again, we'll show you the significance just with Bitcoin and maybe the SPY. We're not going to go and do the whole thing again because we've done it so many times. You know, you can see dollar strength. It caused a bit of a stall box for the SPY. SPY's now broken out into new all-time high, just like we predicted it would, just like we predicted Microsoft, just like we predicted the NASDAQ, just like we were predicting Apple, Meta, you name it. Altcoins are basically further behind on that journey, very similar market structure. The dollar's coming into a little bit of resistance. So we didn't want the dollar to run 104. That would be a bearish case for crypto and risk. I think this is going to top in what is now a broader trend, i.e. the range that we're in that has been in place since we entered the complete banana republic back in 2008. So I think I have rambled on for plenty long enough. We didn't cover the macroeconomic data, which we'll just bring up quickly. Lots of PMIs, which is inflationary data. Some coming out better than others. We'll see what the United States one is. And then, of course, we'll go from there. But I've rambled on for long enough, guys. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is always greatly appreciated. So is a comment. Don't forget to check out that subscribe button. And if you want to take your crypto journey to the next level and get on board with the altcoins that we have, and so on and so forth, learn technical analysis, get meetings with me, do consider becoming a Patreon. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. If you enjoyed the content, like is appreciated, so is a comment. And I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next.